Hello, Mr. Gibbs back again with another video. Now this one is taking knowledge that you already know and cheating in VBA. How do you cheat in VBA? So you already know loads of Excel based on built-in functions on a sheet. So how do you take the stuff you know already and shove it in a VBA macro? Well, let's look at some simple formulas here. How many sales figures are in this list here? This is how to cheat in VBA, by the way, this is the name of this file. How many sales figures? Well, if you were doing that on the sheet, you'd do it this way, equals count B2 to B9. If I were to type that in there, equals count B2 to B9, I get a number 8, which is right, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 figures. It's 8 sales figures in the second column. I'm going to delete that. Now, if you know a load of functions like this one, and this one, we probably don't know this one. I'll come to this one in a moment. How do you say, well, if I'm in a VBA macro, how do I get those things already in there? There's no point me relearning VBA for stuff I already know, right? So how do you get those functions inside a VBA macro? Well, let's switch to the VBA editor here, and you'll see I've got a sub procedure here, how to cheat in VBA, taking knowledge you already know. Okay, so down here in my immediate window, I'm going to copy paste some of this stuff up above. So let's just do what I did a moment ago, which was this one here, range D2 dot formula equals count B2 to B9. Now we did that exact function just a moment ago on the sheet. Okay, so if I want to count and the values between B2 and B9 and put it in D2, I can do so with the formula property. Now, if I run this and switch back to my sheet, you'll see I get the number 8 in there, which is correct. And if I press F2 on my cell D2 there, it inserts that formula in exactly the same way as I typed it in. Okay, B2 to B9 equals count. So that's how you would get the formula inside the cell. I'm going to delete that from there. I'm going to go back to the VBA editor and show you another way to do that. I'm going to copy paste the second line from down below here and put it in here. And this one gives me the same answer, but it's just a different way of doing it. Range D2 dot value equals worksheet function dot count and then a range B2 to B9. So this worksheet function here, I'll just remove this last part. When I press a dot there, you can see I get a whole load of methods for my worksheet function, like that. Okay, now worksheet function is a method of the application object. So if I do that, you'll see I get worksheet function dot count dot, and I can add this stuff to the end there that I just cut away a moment ago. So that would give me the same thing. I don't need the application word in there. If I do it, it works. Let's just prove to you that's right. If I press play there and run the macro, you'll see over here I'm back with a number 8, but this time it doesn't insert the formula, it just inserts the answer, the result, instead of the formula itself. Okay, so and if I do that without the word application, and let's just remove the number 8 in there as well to prove that this works. Let's run that with hit the play button. I go back here and the number 8 is back in there again. So this one is different in that it just gives you the result of the function or the method and puts it in cell D2. A third way to do this, which not many people know, and I only learned about this one recently, is to use this evaluate method here. Okay, now evaluate is again part of the it's a method of the application object. Okay, and just like before, if I know my functions, if I know equals count, because I've learned it in Mr. Gibbs's Excel lesson, I can then use it inside my VBA macro. Let's just run that. And let's go and take a look at the sheet. Now again, what it does here, it doesn't put the formula in here, it just gives you the result of evaluate. Okay, so that's how to apply what you already know. Let's look at the second one here. In this one, same as before, I've got, let's just copy paste that up there, D5 formula equals sum B2 to B9, because what I want to do here is to find the total sum of the sales. If I press play, I get a formula in there with it which renders or produces an answer for me. Okay. Likewise with the worksheet function down here, if I copy paste that in there, worksheet function dot sum range B2 to B9. So the slight difference here is every time I use a range, I have to put the word range and then the range of cells inside a quotes or quotation marks there. Press play again, and again get the same answer, this time without a function inside the cell, just the answer is shown in there instead. Likewise with evaluate, if I go up here and paste that there, same as before, we have the evaluate method and the formula that I would have typed into the sheet, B2 to B9, and press play, switch back to D5, and again I get the same answer, 3,600, and it's only the answer, it's not the formula. Down here in number 3 we have a sum if, and this would have been my built-in worksheet function I would have used here, sum if A2 to A9, which is down here, only the north, this one and this one. And if I were to just add up the north, I'd get 500 plus 100 would be 600 from the sales column. How do we do that? Well, let's switch back to the sheet again and let's look at this one. Well, I can enter a formula in there. Now notice with this one, because the word north is inside quotes, I have to escape it, as it's called, by inserting 2 sets of quotes there. If I just put 1 there, that of course ends this one, so that's not going to work. So if I do this with a formula and I put a sum if, which any function or any formula that requires quotation marks, I have to essentially put in what's known as an escape character, which means 2 of those becomes 1 of those, if that makes sense. And this only really affects functions that have quotation marks in them. Okay, so just be careful with things like this. Now again, if I run this and switch back there, it puts the formula in there, but you'll notice it puts it with 1 of those. Okay, but it gives me the answer, which is 600. That's the most important thing, right? I need 600 plus 100. How do I get the answer? It doesn't really matter too much. Let's delete that, and again, like before, I can use worksheet function. Let's just play that. Notice with this one, there's only a single quote there because I don't put a quote at the start of the function, like in the previous one. The previous one's down here. And you'll notice it starts with a quote there. So with this one, it's actually a worksheet function dot sum if, so I don't start with a quotation mark, so I only need single ones here. Okay, so there's a little bit of inconsistency there depending on the method that you use. But the point is, all of these methods can be things you already know. You're just applying knowledge you already know from built-in functions to VBA. So you get a lot of functionality in your VBA macro for free. You shouldn't just forget all the stuff you've learned already. Let's play that and go back here, and you'll see we get 600. And likewise with the last one, if I evaluate and I go here and I get my evaluate method there, notice this one starts again with a single quotation mark, so I need a double quotation mark there for around north, and press play and we get the number 600. What a surprise. Right, let's look at the last one here, which is a bit of an exception. Now on the sheet, unique regions. How many unique regions are there? Well, we have north, south, east and west twice, but there's only actually 4 unique regions. Now, an unknown formula to solve this is this one here. And I'll just put it in the sheet here. Now sum if 1 divided by count if A2 to A9, A2 to A9. If I just press enter, I get an error. But why do I get the error? Because this is a CSE function. So if I press Control Shift Enter, I get the number 4, like that. Okay. Now then, how do I enter a CSE function in a VBA macro? Well, this isn't so easy. Okay. Let's go back to the VBA macro here, and you'll see, just like before, if I wanted to, I could use the formula property together with that. And if I play that, I'll go back to the sheet and you'll see, oh dear, it's an error. Why is that? Well, because this is a CSE function. So this particular one, just like it would on the worksheet, doesn't work. How do you fix it? Well, you fix it with the second example down below. And it's this one here. If I just paste that in there, you'll see instead of formula, I need the formula array property. And same as before, you press play now and switch to the sheet, you'll get the answer number 4. Now, let's go back to the worksheet. I was unable to find any way to do this with the worksheet function, but it does work with evaluate. So, if I put that in there, you'll see 1 divided by count if. This works fine. If I run that and go back to the sheet, you'll see I get the answer number 4. So that's how you do CSE functions in a VBA macro. It's not particularly straightforward, but now you've learned it, you might remember it and hopefully take it with you. But the key point from this short video is that if you know functions like this already, it's fine to use them in a VBA macro, and that can apply to any function, whether it be statistical, whether it be text or date, any of those things you can take for free with you to a VBA macro using dot formula like this, or simply evaluate and put in the formula in there, or if you're using a CSE function, it's dot formula array or evaluate. Okay, this worksheet function can also be used. Obviously it looks a little bit bigger, so to be honest, if it was me, I would probably opt for evaluate over worksheet function, but it really depends on how you want to do things. Obviously the disadvantage of using these is you have these double quotes here if you have text inside your function. So there's a little video there on how to cheat, how to take knowledge with you for free to a VBA macro. I hope this has been of some use to you.